Alrighty, got a little bit of something different for you. There is believe it or not, there's a UFO story that's just like, what the fuck? But there's a story of UFOs out west, and apparently these people were working for this logging company to plant saplings, to replenish the forest. And so they're out there planting saplings, and everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, this herd of elk got spooked, and so that startled them. When they saw the elk flying in every which direction, it spooked them, and like, well, what's getting these elk all worked up? And all of a sudden, they saw this saucer-shaped craft. Kind of looked like a dime, wobbling, how you spin a dime on the table, and it wobbles a little bit, just as it's ready to wind down, it'll wobble a little bit that way. And it kind of looked like that. And when the elk dispersed, one of the elk didn't move. And so the UFO grabs the elk and takes off with it, and grabs it up, and I guess don't know what happened after that, but according to at least one of the witnesses, the UFO bangs into a tree and almost drops the elk, I guess, and but it didn't. It held on to it, and so it grabbed the elk and I guess deposited the elk back in the group with the other elks or something. But it was very unusual. It picks the elk up and just takes the elk away, and these people that were putting trees in the ground, they just sat there gobsmacked, because here's an elk floating in the air. And the guy asked him, says, was he any cables? Was he any wires? Was he anything? He said, no wires, no cables, no nothing. It was just suspended in midair, being carried by this white disc. And it wasn't the traditional saucer-shaped UFO either. It was literally like a white disc. And it's carrying this elk around. And I guess deposited back with the other elk or what. I'm not sure. But very unusual UFO story, witnessed by over 7 people. Over 7 people witnessed it. And it's like, well, what in the hell? And unfortunately, these guys had no English, so they had to get an interpreter. And so the interpreter is sitting there explaining it to them, and it's like, what the hell? So definitely one for the what if and the what the fuck files, because that's crazy. But yeah, they said they just saw the elk rise up in the air, and then they saw the disc. I guess the disc uncloaked. Get him, Sharpie. Whoever it is. Oh, it's just some person. It's some person. Okay, Sharpie, calm down. Anyways, yeah, Sharpie, I know you gotta get him, don't you? Yeah, you gotta get him. Just calm down, Sharpie. You're all right. It's okay. It's just 2 guys going into a store. It'll be fine. Yes, that's my boy, Angel. Anyways, like I said, just one for the what if files, because I mean that's crazy. Now, it's interesting that I was given this story because I happen to be in a town called Elk City. And of course, by the time you get this video, I'm long gone. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that I get this story about an elk being lifted up in the air by a UFO, and I just happen to be in Elk City when I get this story. So, I mean, synchronicity, right? Some synchronicity going on there. But I just thought, and it was such an unusual UFO story anyway, that I thought I'd share it with you. But yeah, very, very cool, huh? It's an elk being lifted up by a UFO and taken off. And what they found, by the way, but what's interesting is that after the elk was found, it was dead. And so they did an investigation on it. And it wasn't the UFO that killed it. And it wasn't anything else that killed it. Apparently, wild deer and elk and moose and stuff like that, they have a disease similar to mad cow disease, and apparently that's what killed the elk. And that may have been what caused the UFO to grab the elk, was because it had that disease. And they wanted to, I guess they wanted to investigate the disease for some reason. And then they put the elk back down when they were done with it. But yeah, it was not killed by the UFO. It was not killed by animals. It wasn't killed by hunters. It was some kind of disease. And so they started warning everybody, hey, if you're out hunting, make sure you have that carcass tested for this disease, wasting away disease or something, I think they called it. And so if you have, if you're out hunting and you get a carcass, make damn sure you get it checked for wasting away disease or whatever the hell they call it. And they'll get it checked and see if it makes sure it ain't got no disease, because apparently this thing is a really nasty bug, and they don't know for sure if it'll transfer to humans. But then by the same token, they're saying take no chances. So what does that tell you? Go get it tested. Make sure you get your carcass tested, absolutely, so that you don't get caught unawares, because it's a bad thing, really bad. It's bad for animals, but it's worse for humans, they say. It's kind of, like I said, it's akin to mad cow disease. So definitely get it tested. Don't take no chances. Get it tested. Make sure you're not caught unawares, because it's bad on humans. A lot worse on humans than it is on the animals, believe it or not. So make sure you get your carcass tested. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you something weird, something out. I like unique shit. I like shit that out of the norm. So this is about as weird as it gets. A flying elk. It don't get no more weirder than that, especially with the UFOs, But yeah, it's just, these guys watch this elk just rise up into the sky. It's like, what the hell? But it wasn't, now the interesting thing though, it wasn't a typical shaped UFO. It wasn't saucer shaped or cigar shaped or tic tac shaped, which is what the usual shapes are. This one was shaped kind of like a coin. It kind of looked like a large coin. And it just picks it up and takes off with it. Bangs into a tree, one of them said. One of them said it banged into a tree. I guess trying to give it back to the other elk. But they tested, I guess they wanted to investigate that disease, because it had a disease in it. And then once they tested that disease, I guess they put it back with the elk. Which they probably shouldn't have done. They probably should have isolated it from the other elk, but I don't know. Maybe it don't have no effect or something. I don't know. Who knows? Anywho, just thought I'd give you something weird to think about and maybe do more research on, see what you guys can come up with, because that's a pretty bizarre story, right? Yeah, very bizarre, man. So there's your bizarre story for the day. All right, that'll do it. You have a good one, guys.